debate, we were all so rocky and everything, and we made so many mistakes. But exactly. We've gotten to be such good friends now at this stage as well.
And I think we're a lot more passionate now, and then with refutes, I think it's starting to be a little bit more nervous to stand up and tell a team you're wrong.
Oh, I remember congregating above the room before we went down to take our seats, and just kind of heart in the mouth type sensation.
I've now just finished a BA in Politics and Economics in Trinity College. I'm hoping to go on to do a Master's in International Relations, influenced in no small part by my participation in these debates.
It sort of tells me that each year, over 120 schools around the country join the annual debates competition. So it certainly is a credit to both teams here tonight that they are the remaining two teams in this year's competition.
They are very competent in research, and they're able to look at each other's speeches quite critically in a positive sense.
In 1982, the Assad regime massacred an entire city, Hama, killing 30,000 people, according to the Syrian Human Rights Commission. In 2000, Bashar al-Assad inherited presidency from his father, and the Assad regime remains as brutal and corrupt as ever.
We are morally obliged to help the people in Syria, but we must consider, would military action lessen that suffering or deepen it?
If a student can stand up on and talk about any issue, they'll never sit down on an issue for the rest of their lives. They'll always have an opinion, and they'll be well able to present it. So I think it's a great opportunity for them.
Several activists told Amnesty International that being caught with medical supplies is worse than being caught with weapons.
I suppose one of the things I would always see about debates is that people begin to learn to see the two sides of an argument or a discussion, if nothing else. But the other important thing for them is to marshal their thoughts and to express themselves and to lose their self-consciousness.
Children are being increasingly recruited on both sides of the front line of Syria's war, using boys as soldiers and even as shields.
I think the whole experience has just been incredible. From who would have thought back in October? We'd be here today, in the Concerned Debating Final.
For the Leaving Cert, one of the options is write a speech or write a discursive article. And throughout the years, I've known students who are involved in debating, and then they go into the exam, and it's second nature to them, writing a speech, writing an article, things like that.
Yeah, and it's always going to be helpful in terms of college, and they'll always have to make presentations.
Yeah.
So it's very important for their own development and in terms of their confidence as well.
As people flee Syria, they bring famine, drought and violence with them. Turkey, Jordan, Lebanon and Iraq have said that the hosting of refugees is putting a strain on their resources.
You've got the issues you're learning about, which are issues that you're not necessarily exposed to as part of the school curriculum. So you learn a lot about developing countries and development work done by Concern and other agencies. And then I suppose the second thing you learn is public speaking, essentially.
Overcrowding, poor living conditions and shortages in food have led to riots in the refugee camps. And growing tensions increase between the refugees and local residents as they fight over limited resources.
Everything I watch now is Syria in it. My internet, when they're giving ads on Google, is Syria, donate to Syria.
Yeah. And also if you hear something on the radio about Syria, turn that up there, turn that up. But we've put in an awful lot of work, and then myself and Jeffrey as well, we have the big Leaving Cert in 2 weeks. So
hopefully it pays off.
Yeah.
That's one great thing about Concern is, even though they're usually developmental topics, you learn so much about so many different wide range of topics within it.
Yeah, I think this year is good as well because it didn't just stick to Africa, because we were debating about Obama and Romney, we were talking about the AIDS issue, we were talking about India, like Fiona had said, so we really learned a lot more about the rest of the world, not just Africa.
PBS, America's largest public media enterprise, describes it the same way my mother describes my bedroom. Divided, disorganized, and lacking a clear vision. However, the difference is that my bedroom
have the position to rule a country of 22.5 million.
What I learn more from is when the students come back after being abroad and being to Uganda and reading their experiences and seeing how going abroad and experiencing all these firsthand has influenced their lives, and listening to them when they come back another year and tell what happened.
Just, I suppose, kind of seeing the dire poverty, because we went around some of the various slums in Nairobi, and being exposed to that was, it was something that, like, never would have happened in any other circumstance of, like, getting, I don't know, I suppose being put in the middle of it and seeing what it's all about, and the conditions that people have to live in.
The international community has a duty to take military action now. Under the UN Responsibility to Protect Doctrine, or RTP, it states that if a country is oppressing its people, or if a country is unable to protect its people from oppression, that it is the duty of other countries to step in.
But in terms of debating, I suppose that they have really come a long way. They're able to control things, they're able to assess things. There's an awful lot happening for them. So they really have matured in the whole process of debating, and it's wonderful to see.
UN peace negotiations, Russian peace proposals, and Arab League peace plans have not stopped the regime. And tonight, the opposition say that military action is not the solution, but they also fail to offer a viable solution to the atrocities.
They come then to the final where the role of the team is a little bit subservient to the role of the captain. The captain plays an enormous role when it comes to the latter stages of the competition, because they have to be able to get into the minds of the opposing team.
I mean, back in the early days, you're looking at about 3 or 4 people turning up on a cold
Yeah.
evening. Now you're talking about, up at around maybe 100 or something like that. It's a bit of a violent change from what we were used to beforehand.
The passion that they just suddenly burst out with throughout every motion has been fantastic, and they've been great on the camera nerves and relaxation just before the debate, and everything is just great.
Just
So
putting our confidence as well just before we went to the debate, just give it everything and just be fine. They've been great help. Yeah.
People like Doctors Without Borders have said that when rebels are assisted by outside forces, they are unintentionally encouraged to become more reckless in fighting the regime, and they resist negotiations. In this way, intervention can thereby produce a perverse situation of prolonging a conflict that results in more deaths, more fighters, and more child soldiers.
It's nice even within the school community to see how much debating has kind of come more into emphasis this year within our school.
Yeah.
It's just good to be, hopefully trying to bring something home to the school, so that they return on all the effort over the years.
Russia sells Syria 78% of its arms. Simply giving weapons to the rebels would not stop massacres, but removing almost 4 out of every 5 weapons from Assad would undeniably reduce their ability to carry them out.
I guess it is actually an awful lot of work to research and to write your speech and to learn it off and then get up and say it. So it would,
especially with the supporters and everything, it'd just be a great feeling. And as well as that, I think debating has helped us so much.
The motion that the international community must now take military action to topple the regime in Syria was defeated.